Alright, let's take another look at the Mabinogi Korean Forum. So we'll be looking at the free bulletin board first. So, is the lightsaber that bad? So I'm a user who uses rainbow lightsabers. The enchantment doesn't work. Is this a bad weapon? I carry it around because it has high attack power. So one of the better rainbow swords is the focused rainbow beam sword, which you can buy from the Adventure Seal shop. And I use one of those. It's pretty handy. It does have high attack power. But yeah, he's definitely right. They are limited to what you can do with them. You can't do a lot of upgrades to them. One option is you could turn it into a spirit weapon if you wanted to make it stronger. But I think you can only reforge it. And let's see what the comments say, because there are a few. It's just a weapon with high attack power and almost no other enhancements, so it's a weapon that's only used by returning users or new users. Rainbow lightsaber is definitely good for light use. So yeah, it seems like most of these guys agree that you can't really do a lot of upgrades to it, but it is a good weapon for newer returning players. And then next, let's look at why does my computer temperature rise when I turn on Mabinogi and just one game. So why does my computer's temperature rise when I turn on Mabinogi? People who know a lot about computers, please help me. So they have a photo here, and this is their CPU temp before they boot up Mabinogi, and this is after, it looks like. When you turn on the game, the temperature goes up to 66 degrees, is considered low. If it doesn't stay above 100 degrees, it's normal. I think it's because I changed the power management options from average to high performance or higher, but I think it'll work if I reduce it. So yeah, when you boot up Mabinogi, you may notice, on the login screen, you may notice that your computer's making a little bit more noise, working a little bit harder. That just happens. But no, I don't really think it's a problem. I wish Passia could be improved, so I'm pretty sure they're talking about Festia here. That's because I don't use Passia very well. Do other people use Passia instead of going to check the damage with that punch? So they're talking about that mini game where you can attack that training dummy to see your damage in Festia, which some people do use to check their damage and stuff. Please increase the compensation significantly. Please make it so that minigame locations are clearly marked on the minimap. Remove unnecessary decorations. I would also like to see the rewards of the treasure hunt held every Saturday greatly increased. So yeah, Festia isn't very popular in the NA as well. It's almost always abandoned except for during Mabinogi's anniversary event, usually. It's kind of a shame. Festia was supposed to be the place that people go to enjoy mini games and other stuff, and no one really uses it. So yeah, I think they should improve Festia. This player is absolutely right on that. It does need to be improved a lot. FF14 Online has the Gold Saucer. It's really popular. There's always a lot of players doing mini games there, and Festia is supposed to basically be our version of that. It's supposed to be a fun place to do engaging mini games, and it's just not. Let's see if there are any comments. There are no comments on this one. And let's look at this one. I wish there was a guild dungeon. The difficulty of the guild dungeon increases depending on the guild level. The final boss is the guild master. The final boss becomes stronger depending on the strength of the guild master. Allow guild members to appear as intermediate bosses. Like the final boss, the intermediate boss also becomes stronger depending on the strength of the guild members. Members of the same guild just enter. People who are not guild members, you can enter by purchasing a ticket. The entrance ticket could be determined by Gilma. Every time someone clears a guild dungeon points are accumulated into the guild. It will allow you to upgrade the dungeon. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of these ideas. I think this player has some pretty good ideas for like the for like a guild dungeon system. It would be kind of cool to see this in the game. Doesn't look like there are any comments on it. But yeah, so far I like pretty much all the ideas they have. I think it'd be very cool if we could like design our own dungeons, if like guilds could make their own dungeons and then let players try them out. But that's probably not something we'll see until the Unreal Engine update is done. Let's take a look at a few more forum posts in the Korean Mabinogi forums. So we'll start with this one. I would like to purchase the 20th anniversary art book. Personally, I like to put game-related goods and such items on the shelves as interior elements. If you're self-employed and put that on the shelf interior, it'll liven up the atmosphere. So there are no comments on that one. And then on this one, we also have, when I saw the announcement that the official Mabinogi art book was on sale, I bought it. I originally liked collecting illustration books and art books. I think the timing is perfect. It's also the 20th anniversary. Since it's a hardcover, I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, it is like the 20th anniversary art book for Mabinogi in Korea. So these two posts are talking about this. So Korea started a sale on December 27th, going on until January 17th, so it should still be going on. They started selling an art book. Well, two art books. So this is what they look like right here, Volume 1 and Volume 2. And these actually look pretty cool. So like, the reason I'm picking these topics is because I think the art book is really interesting. So like, how come we don't see like a lot of physical merch like this for like Mabinogi? I think they should sell this over here too. I'm kind of disappointed that I can't get like the art book. Because you can't like buy it from any of these Korean sites here. I don't even really care if they translate the text or not, honestly. I would love to get my hands on the official art book Volume 1 and 2, even if the text was in Korean. Like, it's an art book. It's the art that I want to look at, right? So I think it'd be really cool if they sold those over in the NA as well, because I know there are a lot of Mabinogi players that probably would be interested in buying those. And let's go on to this topic. So I'm trying to start playing Mabinogi. So I'm a new user to Mabinogi. Is it okay for me to start now? And I like watching stories. Is the story any good? So basically they're asking, is this a good time to join the game? And is the story any good? Let's see if there are any comments on this one. We got a couple of comments here. That's just a server recommendation because Korea still does have separate servers. And this player is saying the story is only worth reading in the beginning. The part where the story gets weird is after the scenario character Rari dies completely. They're talking about Gen 18, which is like Saga 2. I think that's when like Rari dies. So like he's saying that like he thinks all the story is great up until the end of Gen 18, and then like Generation 19 onward is like not as great. And this one's saying like if you're a beginner, then definitely raise your combat astrology, so do Battle Astrologer. That's a pretty good talent to recommend. But yeah, overall I think like this is some good advice from the comments, and like now is a good time to return to Mabinogi. We keep getting good quality of life updates, and like we just got a new talent, 2 new talents actually. Like Korea has Fate Astrologer, and we're getting like Fate Astrologer in the NA in a little bit. And then we still have like 2 new Arcana to look forward to as well. So we're getting new skills, quality of life updates. The game is being improved all the time. We always have events going on. It's a great time to join. And yeah, not all the story is the best, but there is some story that is really good. It kind of depends from player to player, I'm sure, but like overall the story is okay. I especially like Gen 3, like the Dark Knight stuff. I think that stuff's like really interesting. Unless we'll look at a post in the Aaron discussion forum, I would like to have a guild warehouse function. Currently, I prepare several bartering materials with my guild members every week. It's a hassle to hand it over to each person one by one every time. Trading is more difficult during the week when you don't have time to play games. So I thought it would be nice to have a warehouse system that guild members could share. A system that allows you to store and retrieve items like the current bank, but also allows you to share them with guild members. So depending on the guild level, a tab that can be used by all guild members, a tab that can be used by senior members and above, and a tab that can be used by sub-guild masters and above. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good idea for guilds, and I definitely agree with the part where like you make it where there's like a tab that only guild members can access, because then you don't have to worry about like new players just like coming into the guild to steal stuff, because new guild members wouldn't be able to access things in the senior guild members tab or the guild master or sub guild master tab. So I mean, like, that would be a really good system to have for that. I have played other MMOs where they do have systems like that, where there are like different ranks in the guild, and there are different like storages for like each rank in the guild. So there's like materials that you can put in there that only members can, that all members can access, that only officers can access, you know, like assistant guild masters, things like that. So a system like this is a good idea because it would prevent like theft. But it would be kind of nice to have a system where you could do something like this. I especially agree with like bartering too, because you have to gather all the materials yourself for bartering. And if you're doing bartering with like your friends and stuff, like other guild members, then like, yeah, you'd want an efficient way to like hand out the materials. And just like putting it all in a storage where they can just quickly grab it and then get to their commerce is a really good idea. Alright, today we'll be looking at 6 forum topics on the Korean forums in the free bulletin board section. So let's start with this one. Were you planning on doing that event? I'm not really looking forward to it. So this is about Mabinogi Mobile. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens with Mabinogi Mobile. It's true that people don't want to use their mobile phones anymore because they ask us to share information. I guess the players aren't a big fan of that. I'm not sure how that'll be for the global release, if they ever do one. So these guys are only releasing a mobile game now, If they don't make it better than existing games like Genshin or Star Rail, then it's pointless. If they had just released it earlier and patched things here and there, I think people have said, isn't this good enough? But since that's not the case, it's even more so. So yeah, I do feel that Mabinogi Mobile should have come out a little bit earlier. It's been delayed time and time again, so that's kind of disappointing, but I'm willing to give Mabinogi Mobile a fair chance. The graphics look really good for it, and the music for it that I've heard so far is really good. So I do hope they do a global release, and I do hope it's successful, because I'm really looking forward to Mabinogi Mobile. And then let's look at, I've never seen a Mabinogi spear skill before. There is no spear weapon at all. Is there no spear mastery skill? So I think it'd be kind of cool if they did do like a spear wielding talent. That might be a good alternative for like elves. Since elves can't like wield lances, maybe they could make like a spear wielding talent that's kind of like a little similar to lance mastery, but like but different. Even if it's not possible, I thought the user could use the spear that the monsters use, but there's nothing like that. Yeah, that's true. There are some monsters in Shadow Missions that use spears, but the weapons do look a little bit more like spears. And then let's look at, why can't the Elemental Knight skill be used on a rapier? So Elemental Knight's skill can be used with a blacksmith's hammer, a pickaxe, and a sickle. Why isn't Duke's rapier usable? The item description says it is a sword, so it is a melee weapon, and the rapier itself is a sword-type weapon. So yeah, like, that's a good point. Like, it would also be kind of cool if, like, like, they're saying down here that, like, it'd be kind of cool if there was, like, a real rapier talent, or if you could at least use it with, like, Elemental Knight stuff. It seems like that's one of the underappreciated swords in Mabinogi. It just doesn't get a lot of attention. It would be kind of cool if there were like skills specifically for that sword type, and if it could be used with like an arcana of some kind. And dollbag bug gone. The bug that caused the dollbag to give less money, which showed the same symptom more than 100 times yesterday, has disappeared. I've recreated the situation as yesterday over 100 times, but I'm getting paid well. So I guess there was some sort of doll bag bug where like doll bags were like picking up like gold, and the players were getting less gold than like what was on the ground. And this player thinks that it's because of like server lag or location errors or something like that. And then the same person that made the thread posted a second thread about it. I wrote it as a bug, but I think it's intentional. So if like 5k gold falls and only like 2k was getting picked up. But yeah, it seems like a lot of the other players think it's just like a bug due to like server lag or something. And some think that maybe it's like it was intentional to reduce like gold inflation or something silly like that. But it's nice that this doll bag bug got fixed. I don't know if, I don't think we've had that, like, kind of bug on the NA servers. Like, I haven't noticed. And then we have, this game is too hard. So it's complicated. Whenever I try to do something, I keep getting stuck. The letters are too small and my eyes hurt so much. The controls are bad. I was really confused because the character suddenly disappeared from the screen. Not enough inventory space. So some players here recommend joining a guild to get help, or to buy bags from the auction house or general store. And some are agreeing that the font is a little too small and the controls are uncomfortable. I think the controls are uncomfortable too, at least if you're using like WASD movement, it could be a lot better. Just about almost every other MMO I've played has better WASD movement than Mabinogi. So it would be nice if that could get a little bit better. I personally have not really had any like problem with like the text being too small or anything like that. Like, I don't have very good eyesight and like I've never really had like a problem with it. But I do notice that if I play Mabinogi on a monitor that's like bigger than 24 inches, like I play on a 24.5 inch monitor, and like the text is easy to read and it's just fine. But if you like try and play it on a bigger monitor, then yeah, the text is so small that it's nearly impossible to read. So I think like they do need to make Mabinogi like more compatible with like bigger monitors, bigger like screen size resolutions. Alright, we're going to be taking a look at 6 topics on the Korean Mabinogi forums. So first we'll look at, please make a way to change a character's birthday. The character's birthday is so messed up it's inconvenient, please make a way to change the birthday. So there are no comments on this one. Personally, I don't really mind when my character's birthday is, but I guess it would be nice to have an option to change that, but let me know in the comments below how you guys feel about that. I think it would be a decent change if they decide to add that. Please display your Arcana talents in front of your party members. So having like a Arcana symbol showing like what your party members' active Arcanas are. I think that's an interesting idea. I think it would save a little bit of time if you could just like see what Arcana each party member is using without like having to type it or say it. So that way like everyone's on the same page. But yeah, I think this is a good idea. Doesn't look like it got any comments. And there are also some posts about the Idia event. So they're talking about the new Idia Expedition event that just started in South Korea recently. That looks pretty interesting. So basically you have to like survive in like Idia and like the harsh weather conditions. So sound also plays a part, so I do it without sound. It seems a bit difficult and not going to be easy. So it sounds like it's better to play this event like wearing headphones or with the volume up so you can like hear well. There are no bridges in the Maze Plains. Since there's no bridge to trade, I've been exploring with the L-Rod. But there's no sound, and I can't find anything when I explore the 2 places where the bridges are located. Is this a bug? Should I wait for someone since I have all the items? If it's a server issue, should I give up going to core? I guess you could always go around. You could go through the Karu Forest and then into the Longa Desert and then use the bridges that are at the Aaron's Gorge area, but that would take a really long time to do. But yes, this problem does exist even in the NA version. There is what I think is a glitch where like you can only find the bridges from like one end sometimes. So like sometimes you have to be on like one end of the bridges to like find them, which is kind of weird. So I have experienced that problem before. So that is a bug that I think Nexon should look into. And it looks like we have 2 comments here, so in that case, there is usually no other way to find it on the core side. In this case, there is one way go around. As for Veils, you have to go through the cave, but you can't enter the cave while trading. So the only other way is to go around to Philia, yeah, like I said, and then use the bridges in Aaron's Gorge. So hopefully they'll fix that problem one day. And save people. This event is so much fun, and it's really hard to live. It's really thrilling, and it's really hard to live. So they're referring to the Idia Expedition event again, where your character has to survive in the harsh conditions of Idia. And so far it sounds like everyone's saying that this event is very challenging but very fun. So it was really fun, and the adventure of running around the desert for days without worrying about temperature or hunger suddenly seemed like a fairy tale. But it's fun, and it's really hard to live. So yeah, this is a really fun event. There are a few different people that think that, like in this post, the event is fun. I always felt like I was doing something weird and useless with my copy and paste. I have to do it several times to get the right feeling, so it's a bit tiring but fun. So it sounds like the event is repetitive, a little repetitive and a little difficult, but it is fun to do, at least for most of the Korean players. So yeah, now I'm looking forward to this event more because it sounds like it's a good challenge, and it sounds like it's a pretty rewarding event that players are enjoying. But anyway, that covers 6 forum topics from the Korean forums. Alright, so today we'll be looking at 5 threads in the Korean Mabinogi forums. So starting with this one. Elf, new transformation added, and shield added, so even if racial stats are unified, except for giants, the two-handed swords and lances are the same in that they cannot equip pots or shields, and there's a difference of about 50 to 90 in max. I would like to see additional types of shields that can be equipped. So yeah, it would be kind of cool if we had like ways of equipping shields with two-handed swords and things like that. But right now giants are the only ones that can do that because giants can wield lances and two-handed swords with one hand. And since elves and giants have short transformations, they often use transformation continuation skills, so I would like to see a new transformation skill added that can be maintained indefinitely, like the human Dark Knight. Yeah, it would be kind of cool if there was a way to like maintain the Gen 2 transformations longer. Like Dark Knight has the bleed effect, where once your time runs out, you turn red and you just start losing HP, the bleed effect. It'd be cool if the elves and giants and the paladins had like a similar thing. And next in the Aaron discussion forums, please give Seamus a break. So yeah, Seamus has been digging out these dragon ruins for a very long time. Maybe the dragon ruins could look like this. during like Gen 1 through 3, but maybe around Gen 10, we could see like more of the dragon statue exposed. Maybe we could have like a cool entrance to like a new endgame dungeon discovered or something like that. But yeah, these dragon ruins have been buried for long enough, I think. Let's find out what's actually there after 27 generations of digging. And on the free bulletin board, Mabinogi gets criticized because of users like that, admin. So in the beginner chat, a user started a fight like an elementary school kid by saying that my character was radioactive, chased me around, and cursed at me, so I cursed at them once, and they reported me, and I was the one who got the warning. Honestly, like, you should have just blocked the person right away. Like, if they were cursing at you and chasing you and harassing you in game. Like, obviously that's bad, you should report them and then just block them. But, I mean, if you cursed at them even once, then yeah, you deserve to get reported too, so both of you are in the wrong. Windows 11 client compatibility. So this is someone that's having issues with Mabinogi on Windows 11. If you press the start button and there is no response, end the task if there is a micro edge in the task manager. If the game window opens but does not move to the character selection screen, if you've done a lot of client tasks, restart the group and end tasks. If you haven't done so, it won't be on the list. Plus end tasks for the internet program you are using, Chrome, Firefox, etc. Then you will go straight to the character selection screen. The client is running, but after doing these other tasks, I see that I need to click once to go to the character selection screen. Windows 11 compatibility issue. After running the Mabinogi client, if you look at the bottom bar, there will be a red line under the Mabinogi icon. You must click it once for the game to run. So yeah, it sounds like Mabinogi isn't running too well for this user on Windows 11. I hope that Nexon fixes some of these issues relatively soon. It makes me pretty nervous about moving over to Windows 11. I'm not really looking forward to that. Support for Windows 10 operating systems ends like sometime in October of 2025. So late 2025, early 2026, a lot of people are going to have to upgrade to Windows 11. And this is pretty concerning. Specified recognition error. Here we go again. This is annoying. Please fix these bugs. So it sounds like there are a few bugs going on with Mabinogi right now that need to be fixed. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to moving over to Windows 11 because it's just not as good as Windows 10 for gamers. So today we'll be looking at 5 forum topics in the free bulletin board of the Korean forums. So there's been a lot of stuff going on here. So the homepage is really like this. They keep making it complicated by adding more procedures. Are you crazy because you want it to be like a cow? I know that Korean players use this website, but I don't really know anything about it, other than it seems to be like some type of forum website for the Korean players to socialize. So put it back to the way it was. So it looks like it looks like they're unhappy with how the main page of the Korean site is and want it to go back to being simple again. And I agree to some extent. Like, there are a lot of websites that make stupid changes when the old ways work just fine. And the next topic, will this service be available until this winter? So, if you look at the number of users decreasing exponentially, I guess the number of users is decreasing. If we continue like this, the game will be ruined. So what are the comments here? This player thinks that as long as, even if the players are decreasing in the Korean servers, as long as there's a few whales, the game will probably still be fine. Which could be true. I mean, the NA version of Mabinogi had a very small player base for a very long time, and players kept it alive. Up until now, so we have a lot of whales that kept the NA servers alive when the community was smaller. And do you have any plans to run the game? If not, how can a game with this much communication or updates be possible? So it sounds like there's a communication problem going on between the players and the Mabinogi team, the Korean Mabinogi team. This one doesn't have any comments. So communication, this player also wants communication, so again it seems like there's a communication error going on. And last we have, but really to this extent. So I don't know if Director Choi is the final owner, but isn't Director Min still the general manager? So I'm a big fan of a lot of the Mabinogi updates that Director Min was in charge of in the past, back when he was still in control of Mabinogi updates. But from how I understand it now, Director Min is more focusing on Mabinogi Eternity, all the Unreal stuff, and focusing all his attention on that. And Director Choi is handling all of the current updates in Mabinogi that are going on that don't involve Project Eternity. It seems like something happened at Nexon, both with Director Choi and Director Min, so I don't know, maybe they're having some disagreements or not communicating well. Let's see if there are any comments here. It seems like Min was developing Eternity, but he had a lot of work to do and didn't have the confidence to optimize all the spaghetti codes with Unreal. So he's trying to legally cover up the years of development and make it seem like nothing ever happened by putting Choi in front and shutting it down. So is this a sign that Project Eternity might not happen? It sounds like all this is kind of unconfirmed at the moment, and a lot of the Korean players are just kind of left in the dark, and they're unhappy about that. There's bad communication between the Korean Mabinogi players and the dev team that's working on the game. So I hope this isn't a major issue that's going to cancel Project Eternity, because a lot of the players in the NA server are also looking forward to Project Eternity, saving Mabinogi. Mabinogi is a very special game to a lot of people. So I hope whatever is going on over there gets worked out soon, because this sounds like it's a pretty big issue. But hopefully it's not as bad as it looks. Alright, let's take a look at 4 more topics in the Korean forums. So recently, I think it's because I'm playing alone. Sometimes I feel when I pass by Dumbarton and other places, I feel like I'm playing alone in the world of Mabinogi, Aaron. Where did all the noisy users go and all we feel is silence? Do the operators even wander around, Aaron? It's always been like this after the preseason ends, but it seems to have gotten worse this time. It's so empty. I wonder what the maximum number of users that are moving in real time is. Not just users who are connected, but users whose movements are actually detected with the mouse. So there's one comment on this one. The recent preseason hasn't been as good as it used to be. This seems to be due to the already widespread negative publicity, which has raised the barrier to entry. So yeah, I don't know how it is in the Korean community, but over the years, Mabinogi has become more of a solo single-player game over time. But like, there are still people that talk in like Dumbarton and Tyrconnell and at the Tara Banquet and stuff like that in the NA. But yeah, it feels like Mabinogi was a lot more social, and you just have random conversations with people a lot more, like 8-10 years ago. And next we have the most important thing was... So it seems like the game, which had freedom as its strong point, started to fall apart when control started to enter the game. Limits of possibility, limits of growth, limits of content, limits of exchange. And we have a comment here saying that they definitely agree. So yeah, one thing that everyone loves about Mabinogi is your freedom to do just about anything you want. You're not really restricted as far as like classes or talents go, except for the Arcana. You can only have one of those at a time selected. But yeah, over the years it does feel like there has been some more attempts to like control the game and control how we play. It is still a game where you're free to do almost anything you want to, luckily. But yeah, I have kind of noticed that it is taking that turn where there are some limitations being put in place, especially with the recent New Rise dungeon update that the NA recently got. Like, it's kind of obvious that they're trying to push everyone into hard mode dungeons, veteran dungeons, and up, and they're trying to kind of force everyone into more endgame dungeon content, like the Brelith one, Glenberna, Crombass, and Rabbi Phantasm, and trying to get everyone to forget about all dungeons that are below hard mode advanced. And also, this has been a problem for like over 5 years, where all castle dungeons and idiot dungeons have been left out of the out of all the dungeon updates that we've had over the years. You'll notice that in the new dungeon guide, the New Rise dungeon guide that we got, that the Idia dungeons and the castle dungeons aren't even listed in that dungeon guide, which is really kind of sad. So, have you given up on Mabinogi? This is the next one. So, only mobile and Eternity are important. I completely agree. I've only heard good things about Mabinogi Mobile, and everyone's looking forward to Eternity. Has the main force given up? Until the beginning of the year, it was difficult to read. Dumbarton was bustling with people, regardless of the channel. There was a waiting time when entering a dungeon. I was having fun every day, wondering what the next event would be. Even if you get something, it's worthless. Even items that were worth hundreds of millions are half the price now. Even if I put the erg material up on the auction house, it doesn't really sell, even after 3 days. So I guess the state of the game is getting a lot worse in Korea, according to some of the players. And one comment says they destroyed all the existing dungeons and everything else to preserve the value of the Bree, that's the new Brelay dungeon at the Oasis, assets. So all users who were enjoying it, casually or new users, stopped playing. And they got their dungeon update, the New Rise update, like in July or August or something, because that was announced at their last fantasy party, which was in like June, I think. And then there's another comment, even with all this mess, I guess the development costs are still coming in well. They'll probably only come to their senses if they fail even more. I actually doubt that. Knowing Nexon, they'll probably continue to ignore the problem until they fail a lot more. They don't usually come to their senses very quickly when it comes to this sort of thing. And last we have, how can we survive with all the advantages of the game? If you take away all the advantages of Mabinogi and make it into another similar game, I don't think I'll go out of my way to play Mabinogi instead of that similar game. I don't know why you're throwing the game away like this. In the past, it was said that there was no game that could replace Mabinogi, but it still had a steady user base. It's a shame that Mabinogi has lost its unique character and is now in a state where there are many games to replace it with. And this commenter is agreeing, and this one's saying they killed the game to save only the relay dungeon, I'm guessing. So most of the players quit. I mean, we read that in one of the other threads too. The gold value is not coming back. Yeah, we read that in one of the threads as well. It's just getting worse. So I don't think the game is completely doomed right now. I still haven't found an MMO to replace Mabinogi, I'm gonna be completely honest. I've been in this MMO for a long time, and I've played many other MMOs, new ones and really, really old ones, and no MMO has been able to replace Mabinogi yet. It still has a very unique feel to it, and there is still a lot of freedom in it, but recently I feel like they haven't been making the best changes for the game. But yeah, I can see why the Korean players are unhappy with the direction that the game is currently taking. But that's it for today's Mabinogi forums. I'll definitely keep an eye on the forums and see what happens next. See if the situation improves or not. Alright, let's take a look at the Korean forums again. So I hope the showcase goes well. As long as there's no bloodshed or anything like that, it's all good. So there's some comments here. I don't care about the content of the showcase, since it's just going to be a joke anyway, and I wish someone would just curse at Choi Dong-min, that's the current director of Mabinogi. Choi Dong-min is a piece of crap, so a lot of people don't like him. It's fortunate that they're at least a little greedy, but I'm worried that violence might break out. I just wish the director would step down. He keeps ruining Mabinogi with weird patches, so if he's incompetent, he should just step down, or he'll be forced out by user protests. Either way, I hope we never see that director again. So yeah, a lot of Korean players don't like Choi Dong-min. Of course, the director change will immediately improve the game, but you never know until you try. We need to commit to a long-term plan, and I believe we all need to get involved and change everything. Mabinogi is heading down a downward spiral right now. Before things get any worse, shouldn't we do something to prevent the game from getting any worse? No, if that director ends up getting beaten up by users and stepping down, Nexon and the next director will be cautious, or they might even shut down the game altogether. From Nexon's perspective, even Mabi has been around for a long time. It's not a major source of revenue they need to maintain. It's not about seeing what's good, but rather about considering the worst. It's a real headache. Yeah, but it always runs the worst. So yeah, people do not like the current director, Choi Dong-min, who made all the recent dungeon changes and equipment changes. The game is pitiful. I feel bad for users when I see them ruined by bad management. And there are no comments on this one. When I see the mess of patching, I wonder if it's really paralyzed. They deleted all the gimmicks in the dungeon and made a strange dungeon that's worse than a mobile game. So in the end, they couldn't even beat the Breleth dungeon properly. So they're reshaking off all the new mid-level and long-term users. It's really amazing. Thanks to the crappy system, like, I'm assuming that's the near tight. Might just be a little translation thing there. Over 30 people have quit the game because it was already boring and there's nothing left to do. It's already too late to even bother talking about the economy or anything. So I think there's some comments on this one. It's a bit annoying that everyone except the Vanguard is just showing off. So I'm assuming this guy means everyone except for the explosive Vanguard Arcana users. And now the houses of lower tier users who are living well are all being bulldozed. So this guy is talking about Choi Dong-min. He's the type of guy who'd just swipe all existing users, shut down the server, and reopen it with Unreal, and then invest again to grow it. And I'm just the guy who created a character, so this is a new Mabinogi player in Korea, and they have to deal with all these bad changes that Choi Dong-min is making. If you want to make hunting fun, you should look back at some of the old dungeons. That's a good point. So rather than just creating a pattern of killing enemies with no one-hit skills and dealing no damage, I'd like to recall some of the gimmicks of dungeons like the old Piaka dungeon. I don't know which dungeon or raid that is. The music dungeon, the Alban Knights training grounds bosses. Unlike before, where the damage is somewhat satisfied, as the damage is satisfied, I think it should have gone... I think it should have gone in the direction of requiring natural party play or versatility by hitting specific bosses or monsters with specific gimmicks or consumable weapons to lower their defense and protection. So in the comments, Idia Ruins dungeon is also of interest. So each jewel golem has a nice gimmick. They don't take damage unless you attack them with a specific arrow. So they're talking about the Longa dungeon where there's those magic golems, and you need one of those special arrows to hit them with to deal damage. Like the amethyst arrows, the topaz arrows, those. And Mabinogi paralysis is currently called a haunted house. Certainly the old dungeons had those gimmicks, making them worth exploring. These days they've become downright bizarre. I hope Mabinogi can improve itself, if not to the point where it once was, then at least to the same level as it once was. Yeah, I think that there is a lot that can be done for Idia dungeons and other dungeons. It feels like dungeons are not unique anymore, and Idia dungeons and castle dungeons keep getting left out of dungeon updates, which isn't good. But what is the mindset of people going to this showcase? That's going to be the winter showcase that will be on the 29th in Korea, and I think it's going to be like on the 28th at 9 p.m. in the NA for West Coast players, and for East Coast players it should be on the 29th at midnight. This time it seems like Choi Dong-min will not appear in person and will hide gloomily behind the screen. I'm not sure what he's going to do at this winter showcase, but that might not be a bad idea given how much all all the Korean players hate him right now. So yeah, people are not happy about the dungeon update. And like tech missions are shorter, they're no longer fun. Like it's looking really bad, and the Korean players do not like it. So a lot of people want Choi Dong-min to step down, and that's even going on in the NA forums too, which are pretty inactive, but there are still a few players in the NA forums that post stuff. So we have this post here. I'm not gonna read all this because it's pretty long, but like there's a lot of complaints about dungeons and skills, and like how tech doing missions were shortened and made way too easy. So you can thank Choi Dong-min for all these bad decisions that are currently going on right now. So yeah, I think Mabinogi isn't doing too good right now. I think they need to fix the dungeon update. It feels like a lot of older dungeons are no longer relevant. Idiot dungeons and castle dungeons have been left out of every dungeon update for years now, and it feels like any normal dungeon, basic dungeon, intermediate dungeon, and advanced dungeon are kind of useless. There's no real point in even running them anymore, so they're not doing anything to like improve old dungeons. So it's looking really bad. Alright, so we'll be taking a look at a few posts in the Korean forums in the free bulletin board section. So we'll start with this one. The only way to revive this game. Director, please roll back everything you've done so far and don't do anything. So this player is talking about the changes that Choi Dong-min has put into the game. I'm not sure how well the New Life update has gone over there. That came out recently, but I know a lot of players have had complaints about the new Rise update, and I personally don't like a lot of the changes that come with New Rise to dungeons. It kind of feels like they're making older dungeons feel irrelevant and useless, and they're neglecting updates for older dungeons and kind of pushing everyone into endgame dungeons and like Relith, the newest endgame dungeon. And we have a commenter here. We need to roll back everything, but it looks like they won't. And let's look at this one next. I've been waiting for years, but I can't wait any longer. I feel like I'm wasting too much time waiting for this game to get better. I'm not gonna play this game. I'll come back when Eternity comes out. So another unhappy player with who's unhappy with the state of the game. And what would be more beneficial? So deleting Nier and normalizing dungeon versus director replacement. So I'm assuming they're talking about the Nierite crystals. More than 70% of the users only go to Relith. Are there so many people going there that they're abandoning all of their dungeons? Is that really true? Is Relith dungeon so important that you'd throw away the Shadow dungeon, so Shadow missions, and the Ulad hard advanced dungeon, the theater mission, and Tekduin? So yeah, I feel like older dungeons should get an update, like Shadow missions, the older Ulad dungeons, even Castle dungeons and Idiot dungeons, and I talked about that in a dungeon video that I did recently. Even though a new Arcana comes out, the number of players is decreasing. Is 26 years going to be the end without seeing the fireworks at the end of the year? Why do you keep focusing on weird things like Moonlight Island and Tailton Farm, which are always new content that has been rehashed and reused as an event comes out? So yeah, people are not happy with the state of the game in Korea, it looks like. So the latter director replacement, if the director were in their right mind, the first thing they'd do upon taking over would be eliminate Neartight and restore the dungeon. Yeah, because I think Min Kyung-un was the director for Mabinogi, and he stepped down to focus on like Eternity, and Choi Dong-min took over as the current director of Mabinogi, while Min Kyung-un focuses on Eternity. But I don't think Choi Dong-min is doing a great job, at least not with dungeons. So, and it sounds like a lot of other players don't like him too. So both sides, needless to say, a director change is a given, and I think the Nearite plus Shining Orb dungeons, which had a very negative impact on Mabinogi's economy, should be deleted, and the dungeon structure should be restored to its original state. I completely agree, and I also think that the older dungeons should also be improved too. I think the best thing to do is roll back everything that's been done to the current director. It's a history of paralysis that gets worse every time a director changes, so I'm worried about what kind of crap will come next. I think there are many users who have quit because of the director, including me, so yeah, people are not happy with Choi Dong-min right now. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about these 3 posts, and if you think that older dungeons should be changed back, or if we should get rid of Nearite, or what. But this is how the Korean players feel about it. Let's have a look at 4 posts in the free bulletin board forums on the Korean website. So the first one is Fury Fighter. So it seems like this was the most difficult to rank up among the 10 Arcanas. There are some frustrating points, so extremely vulnerable to defense encounters, indiscriminate stiffness, interrupted flow. When the targeted mob dies, you must find the target. So you have to find tab target to another enemy. This is an Arcana that is extremely difficult to use. There's no way to check, you just have to change the targeting every moment and continue the continuous attack. So the good points: when targeting a single mob like a boss, you can experience endless happy consecutive hits. It's the best for a real 1-to-1. It's perfection itself without any change. It's incredibly fun. Of course, this is based on lower dungeons. I don't know about Crom, Bree, or the higher ranking ones like that. So, conclusion. Something that needs to be fixed. When the targeted mob dies, change the automatic targeting to the closest mob. That'd be kind of cool if they could do that, right? If you like defeat one enemy that you're targeting and then it just like instantly targets the nearest enemy after that. Maybe we can get that in Unreal. I'm not sure if that's like... We might not have something like that because of like Pleon's limitations. And then the next post we have is the Echo Marionette a ghost? So this is about the Melodic Puppeteer Arcana. So this time Melodic Puppeteer and Fury Fighter Arcana came out. I'm leveling up my Fury Fighter. Is it possible to summon an Echo Marionette? So they're asking if it's possible to summon the Echo doll while you're using Fury Fighter? That's an interesting question. I don't know if you can summon the Echo Marionette while you're using Fury Fighter. If I switch Arcana, I can't use skills. So yeah, that's true. Like, if you're in the Fury Fighter Arcana, you can't use the Echo Marionette skills. And I don't know if that applies to actually summoning one or not. But yeah, the skills should definitely be off limits. You can only use one Arcana at a time. And there are no comments on this one. But yeah, it would be kind of interesting if you could at least summon the doll, even if you couldn't do anything with it when you're in a different Arcana. Because you can actually dress up the Echo Marionette in like outfits and stuff, which is kind of cool. So I imagine a lot of players will want to use that just for like fashion alone. So it'd be kind of cool if you could like be in a different Arcana and at least summon the doll for show, even when you're not like in the Melodic Puppeteer Arcana. And the next one, I really need to solve this urgently. So Puppetry Arcana, deal experience points and final hit problems by skill. So there's some sort of issue using final hit with the Puppetry Arcana. The enchantment balance, so they're talking about like some enchants. Maybe there's some like new enchants that are going to come out with these new Arcana. And maybe there's like a balance problem with that. Are you really going to limit the number of master craftsmen? Are you going to allow them to craft high-performance items? There are more things I can think of, but these seem to be urgent for now. Let's see if there's any comments. There's no comments on this one, so there's not too much information here. Unless we have what I feel while leveling up the Fury Fighter. Fury has almost no range compared to other Arcana. Honestly, I don't think it's good for leveling up. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone leveling up through martial arts before Arcana. And when a mob dies, I wish the streak would automatically continue to the mob right next to it. You need to designate a target. The flow is interrupted and it's so sad. So I've hardly seen a fighter user. But yeah, this is basically what I thought Fury Fighter was going to be like. It's not very good when you're attacking like multiple enemies, because that's the way normal fighter works too. But it does sound like it's really good when you're fighting like a single boss. That's really good. You can just do a bunch of combos. In the first post that we went over, this guy says that's really good when targeting a single mob boss. You can experience endless happy consecutive hits. But it's not really good when you have like a room full of like 10 or 15 enemies. And it would be kind of cool if like after you defeat one enemy, you just automatically target the closest enemy. I completely agree with that. That would be a really cool thing that could improve how Fury Fighter feels. But yeah, this is some of the Korean players' thoughts about the two new Arcana that came out recently over there.